Hi, I'm going to show you how to create a simple hinged parent-child relationship in Toonboom Harmony. So right here I have my three lovely drawing objects. I have my hand, my lower arm, and my upper arm. Now do know that you can create a parented relationship just using the drawing layers, but I want you to get used to working with the pegs. Most professional animation studios out there working with Toonboom Harmony rely on pegs very heavily. So I want you to just get in the habit of using them to manipulate your pieces versus the drawing objects themselves. So I also have my node view here so you can see what's going on here in relationship of the network view and the timeline view. And I have my peg selection mode turned on. What this means is that if my transform tool is selected, if my cursor has the option of choosing a drawing object or a peg, it will default to the peg, which is very useful, again, when working with pegs. So the first thing you want to do is shift select the objects that you want to add the pegs to. I'm going to hit this little semicircle orange semicircle add peg button. It's going to throw a peg on all those different drawing objects right here. And you'll see that the will hold the artwork. The pegs are empty. There's no artwork on the peg layers. They're just containers, as it were. And as you see over here in my node view, I have an upper arm, lower arm, and a hand peg that have been attached to the artwork layers. So artwork is always blue, and pegs or transformable properties are always green. So the next thing you want to do is connect them, because right now if I rotate the lower arm, it's not going to have any relationship to anything around it. And before I do that, I want to set the pivot points. Now to set the pivot points for pegs, you do not want to use the drawing pivot tool. It's not going to help you out. What people do is use the rotate part of the advanced animation tools. These are just position, rotation, scale, and skew. It's the same thing as this. It just sort of isolates each of the properties into an individual tool. So for my upper arm, I'm just going to move the pivot to the shoulder. The lower arm is going to be to the elbow, and the hand is going to be to the wrist. And now we're ready to start parenting. There's two ways to parent your puppet pieces in Toonboom Harmony. The first is via the timeline. So what you can do is just select the peg and drag it on top of the one that you want it parented to. So the hand is a child of the lower arm. So now if you move the lower arm, the hand will now come along with it. So you can do it that way. That's option one. I'm just going to hit undo and undo. The second way is a little easier in terms of visualizing how they're connected. What you're going to do, so the information coming out of the upper arm peg here is just the information of the transform properties. So you want to take all that sort of properties of what this peg is saying and have it control the lower arm's input. So now the lower arm is going to be affected by what this is doing. And then we're going to do the same thing. The output of the lower arm is going to control the input of the hand's transformable properties. So by doing that, I've emulated the same sort of structure over here in my timeline. And again, I'm now ready to animate away. So as I sort of move through my timeline, I can just select the individual pieces. And again, you can also use B and Shift B to kind of move up and down the hierarchy. I can also just choose the pegs over here if you just wanted to select the individual pieces that way. So there's a lot of different workflows that are available to you in Harmony. But this is how you would sort of connect parent-child pieces together in a hierarchy. And also, just FYI, it's good practice to animate with everything collapsed. Once you start sort of pinwheeling things down, it gets a little confusing and sort of hard to see. So most people recommend to just keep it tucked up into one layer as you're animating. So I hope you have found this helpful.